into our economy. And you take that with the $1 billion cash rebate from workers' comp, right, which is pretty stunning. The government never gave you any money back, did they? So this is really good news. The small business tax cut included in here is important. But I just want people to understand why income tax cuts matter. Some people think it has a political connotation to it. That's not the issue. The issue is economic growth. And I believe that the less you tax work, the less you tax investment, the less you tax risk-taking, the more you will get of all those very desirable things. And when people risk-take, and when we invest in work, and when we invest in empowering individuals, it means you have greater economic growth. Now, when I came into this office, we had lost 350,000 private sector jobs. We're now up 174,000. We're about halfway back, which is, fantastic. And considering the fact that we've had such slow economic growth in the country as a whole, which is just amazing considering we went through a near depression and we've come out and grown so slow, although I see the last quarter numbers are a little bit better than we thought. But it just means that we have to keep doing this. I believe that the income tax rates are still too high, 5.3. I mean, that's why I think it's important we continue to do tax reform. And tax reform means you create a tax system that encourages growth, so that when we are here in Ohio, which was nearly dead a couple years ago, a person who's an employer here in Ohio has a reason to have confidence that they can expand their business. So think about this. When we have an $8 billion hole, and now we have $1.5 billion surplus, when we see stability, when we know there's going to be a constant effort to reduce taxes, then employers start to be comfortable, right? They start to say, I can kind of trust being here. Am I right about that?
That's right.
The worst thing you can do is have uncertainty. So when I look at Illinois, for example, and I look at their pension system, we know that employers are going to be up against it at some point. That's why, companies that are located there are looking around to say, where's a better place to be located? The same is true in California with their sky-high income tax rates. I mean, they're losing jobs. Nevada has a big program to try to attract California companies to Nevada, where the cost of doing business is a lot lower. So we have to keep pushing this down. Now, somebody asked me last night, what do I think the long-term prospects are for our state? Well, if we stay stable, if we continue to reduce taxes and promote economic growth, our location is such, 600 miles within 60% of the country, if our Jobs Ohio operators can continue to target the industries that are the sweet spots for our state, which are energy, healthcare, manufacturing, agriculture, bioagriculture, biohealth, logistics. See, if you know what your target and your sweet spot is, then you can continue to either get companies to expand, or you can begin to lure companies to our state. And that's precisely what's happening. If we go backwards and we spend $1.5 billion surplus and we go willy-nilly back to the old days, it's going to hurt us. So it is important that we keep our eye on the ball. For me, the prospects forward for Ohio are really great. We've got the people. We've got, as I say, we have the location. We have to train our workers better. There isn't any question about it. Job training is a huge deal, which we work on every day for all of you. We are using a variety of measurements to determine what the real employment needs are of the state. We're trying to drive our education system, both higher ed, community college, and K through 12, trying to drive those towards those job opportunities that exist. We're now talking about having more students available for vocational education, which is really important in our state, not to preclude their ability to get further education. So, you get the workforce, you have them qualified, we have a good reputation of being hard workers, We lower the taxes, continue to fight to lower the taxes, and if we can keep more of our great entrepreneurs from moving to Florida because they're getting skinned with the income tax, we can really take off as a state. And that is our goal, and that is our purpose. And the $2.7 billion tax cut may be the largest in the country. I don't know if we've found out whether it is or not. Do we know, Rob? We think it's the largest tax cut. Now, you might say, well, why are people not excited in politics about tax cuts? It's really true. First of all, I don't know that most of them know anything about how business works. So they don't understand that what drops to the bottom line allows you to have flexibility, hire people, buy the equipment, become more productive. I'm not sure they understand that. Secondly, I actually think that the conservatives across the country have lost being able to make the case that lower marginal rates provides for economic growth. I don't know how that's happened, but I know that economic growth is a key. You all know that, I just had a press conference the other day, about 10% of Ohioans, I think about 2 million Ohioans, get their food at food pantries, shelters, warm right up here in Westerville. A lot of people that have needs. When you grow, right, when you can hire another person, you're changing the life of not just the person you hire, but probably their family and their children. So this is why I say that, growing jobs is the greatest moral purpose we have, because when mom and dad work, marriages are better, kids do better, and we salute all of you. I do. Because I know it's not easy to be an employer today and a small business person with a blizzard of rules and regulations and hassles. That's okay though, right? We weren't put on the earth here to have an easy go of it. We're here to try to repair the world in which we live. And so when you hire somebody, when you improve your business, when you create stability, you're doing the Lord's work, not just running your business. And I admire you and respect you for it, because as you go through this weekend, some of you will be on edge. How do I make payroll next week? What are they going to come and lay on me next? That's why we're so thrilled to do, a small business tax cuts, why we're excited to do a workers' comp refund, because it's why we want to make sure that we control regulations and paperwork so we don't make it too difficult, because it's hard enough in a global economy. My sense is that you should think about how you can tap into some of these really rich areas that we think lie ahead for us. You should think about some of the growth industries that we're seeing in the state, and to be optimistic about how that can perhaps affect you as well. So it's a good day for Ohio. It's a good day for Ohio taxpayers, and it's only going to help us to do better. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You may have a few questions.
Yeah, from our businesses, what kind of questions do we have for Joe or for Governor?
Joe, would you speak to the increases in the sales tax and cat tax that small businesses also have to start dealing with come September 1st? You gave some great guidance on the withholding.
Sure.
But that was helpful.
Sure. On the sales tax, which was alluded to, Joe mentioned as well, 4% sales tax increase goes in September 1st as well. Again, remember, it's a part of it in a package. The entire package came out of the General Assembly, signed by the governor, $2.7 billion overall. But that takes effect as well. On the cat tax, what the change there is on the minimum tax.
Small businesses go to get their rate information. That all on the website.
On the website as well, yes, tax.ohio.gov. Absolutely. I don't know if you want me to go into the details of it again. What it did is it changed the minimum tax levels. It used to be one flat minimum tax for all cat taxpayers. Now it's a tiered thing depending on what your gross receipts are. Again, if you want me to go through the details, I guess I can. But again, that is all there on the website as well.
Let me also just speak a moment about what's happened here. First of all, on the 0.25% increase in the sales tax, those exemptions still apply. Whether it's food, whether it's medicine, the things that are important to people who that have low income. Secondly, we've enacted for the first time in Ohio an earned income tax credit that is a fraction of the federal earned income tax credit. And that will help people who are at the lower ends to be able to offset any increase in the sales tax by lowering the earned income tax credit. The earned income tax credit is not refundable, but yet it does provide a chunk of money for people. Now, 0.25% sales tax increase, I guess, you want to go out and buy a boat, you're going to pay more. I don't know too many people who are poor that are out buying boats. And even for those who have things, I'm always told that the best day is you have two good days: the day you buy your boat and the day you sell it. So I don't know, but anyway. But the point is that we've accommodated people. The whole point, though, of a tax system that encourages growth is one that allows somebody to get off of dependency and cross the bridge into full employment. That's what we're trying to do. If you look at Tennessee, which has become a competitor of ours, their sales tax is about 9%. You know what their income tax is? They don't have one. Now, why do you think our friends live in? Why do you think all these people we know who are successful live in Florida? Think it's for the weather? It's not. It's because they have a zero income tax. The same in Texas, and it's really interesting. If you chart the exodus of billions and billions of dollars in our state since the enactment of the income tax, you will find that tens of billions of dollars have exited Ohio to states where the taxes are lower. Now, people don't like to think about it, they don't like to talk about it because it disrupts their philosophy. But we don't want wealth to continue to walk out of Ohio. That's why it is so important that we're able to continue to lower the income tax. And as it gets lower, it becomes less and less important. Killing the death tax was a big deal too, because these business owners, they go somewhere else to escape the death tax. Now they don't have to sell their business, they can pass it on to their heirs, which I assume that any of you want to do that at some point? Pass your business on to your kids? Do you? Sure. Got any kids to pass it on to? Yeah. Okay. What else? Yes. Yeah.
What tangible signs are you looking for that this is going to have the stimulative effect that you're hoping for?
Well, first of all, everything we do to make the ground a little bit more fertile works. You don't look for shock, but you look for consistency. There's a CEO survey that came out that took Ohio from, 47, 48 to number 23 in business friendly. We jumped 13 points. CEOs around the country, they know what's going on. They know what's going on. And, a lot of the nationwide press we get is very helpful. I'll just give you an example. Although I still have not read the Wall Street Journal, having Ohio on the front page of the Wall Street Journal with them talking about what we've done to the lower taxes and all that, very, very helpful to us. So the word's getting out there across the country that there's something unique. And so I went to Davos to talk about Ohio. So, you don't do it overnight, you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it and putting money in. But I will tell you this, it's sort of funny. One of the great fathers of explaining a lower income tax was a guy that you may have heard of in history. His name was John F. Kennedy. And he said that he was for reducing the rates of income tax because a rising tide would lift all boats. So as there's more prosperity, everybody's boat begins to rise. And, again, halfway back from a devastating 350,000 private sector loss indicates that we're doing pretty well. Yes, sir.
I just want to let you know, we talk about stuff at a chamber level, especially the workforce development element of it, trying to get some connection or lack of disconnection between the schools preparing folks to get into the workforce, because you can ask our members, there are jobs right now that are going unfilled just because there's a lack of anything from IT professionals all the way down to machinists in the different communities around here. And I'd encourage continued efforts on that front to try and get that connection? I mean, it would help the schools as well, obviously.
Let me speak to that because it's really a comprehensive program. First of all, so I may miss some of this, and if I do, let somebody jump in and help me here. But we are beginning to introduce occupations into the core curriculum in the first grade. If I run into, not always, but if I run into a first grader, because I love kids, I love to talk to them, and I say, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you think they say?
Teacher?
Wrong. What do you think they say? That's not right. Huh? No. They want to be a football player. They want to be a baseball player. They want to be a basketball player.
Anybody saying governor?
And then, no. They're not stupid. But here's why I say that. Because we've emphasized sports so much that that's the way they think about it. That's what they know. They play football, they play soccer, and they love that stuff. And then they watch on TV. Of course, you didn't know they hype sports on television, okay? Now, I used to say to a kid, how hard it is to make it to the NBA. Now I say, well, when your career is over, what do you want to do? But the point is...
I know. Continue.
You've been a troublemaker since I met you.
Please proceed, Governor. Please proceed.
So what we're going to start to do in the first grade is to introduce some basic occupations. You might say, well, what would that be? Well, I'll give you a couple. A farmer. What does a farmer do, right? What does a fireman do? What does a policeman do? Get kids to begin to think about occupations. And then as they get older, we bring a more sophisticated review of occupations. I really want to have our guidance counselors in our schools to be front and center on helping kids to think about careers. Now, I can't tell you about all the schools, but there are too many schools where guidance counselors are asked to do 50 things other than to counsel students. Coach the team, take care of this paperwork. It's so important in my mind for guidance counselors to be front and center. Hey, Johnny, I look, you're pretty good in math. I mean, that's really great. Or you know what you could do. Get them to start thinking. The other thing we're talking about is bringing vocational education down at an earlier age. Now, we don't have this worked out yet, but we want kids at an earlier age to be able to opt for it. I don't have the chart in front of me, but I do have a chart that shows that there are many careers that students get in a four-year school and they can't get a job. The chart also shows that if they go into things like heating and air conditioning and welding and all, they get jobs. And if they get taught entrepreneurship, then tree trimmers and plumbers and here, it's right here. It's a pretty amazing chart. This chart says if you go in architecture, employment rate of recent college grads down 14%, art 11%, humanities 9%, computers, math 8%. If you're an auto mechanic, employment is up 5%, electrician 12%, plumbing 16%, construction management 17%, heating and air conditioning like 20%. There are the facts. It comes from some folks in Cincinnati. So the idea that we should deny our students by talking them out of their skills makes no sense. Now, that does not mean that if your son and daughter goes into a skilled profession, that they're not going to be available for the 2-year or the 4-year school, for advanced more education as they go on. But let's connect them with their passions. Frankly, their God-given talents to do what it is they want to do. Then with the 2-year schools and the 4-year schools, we have a wonderful relationship with them. And what I want them to do is when we go to school, I want them to get a menu. When you come over here into the Westerville Grill, it has, this is what Spinelli likes, liver and onions, okay? Tells you what it is, and it costs $9.49. Why is it that when students go to the community college or the four-year school, we don't give them a menu of what it is that's available and what it takes to get there? So we're going to push the schools to do that. Now, what data do we use? We have different kinds of data. We have marketing data, we have Ohio Means Jobs data, and you should be on that website, Ohio Means Jobs. You can post, other people will post who are looking for work. It is an invaluable asset to our state. Job training is so important in terms of attracting businesses. I talk to these CEOs all the time. And I was at Fanatics yesterday. What they do is a really interesting business. Nike licenses, they get their material made. Fanatics buys the shirts from the maker, and then they sell them to the public. The guys it's like 300 plus jobs with 1,000 jobs, temporary jobs around the holidays. Amazing. You know what they said? Great workforce. Now, when I get a call from somebody in the IT industry, can you get us engineers? And we don't need all four-year engineers, but can you get us people, you have IT specialists. We're trying to take all that data, and we're doing it now with bigger companies. We're trying to take that data and use that data to communicate from K through 12 to the two-year schools and the four-year schools. This is extremely challenging. But if we get this right, we'll be one of the first movers in America, and that will pay off. That will pay off in a very big way for us to be able to attract more workers. And you just said it. You got job openings and no one, okay, well, why is that not happening? We need more flexible education so that if you want to take a student in the 8th grade or the 9th grade and you want to have them come into your business for 3 hours a week, they should get credit for graduation. Let's make education real. Do you realize, I heard the other day, I asked these statistics, it's hard to come up with them, but between the 9th grade and the 12th grade, 30% of our students are dropouts. 30%. They don't have the skills, they live in poverty, they can't, 30%. That means that we as an education system are not tapping into what kids want to do. And we have to do it. We have to take some risks on this. We have to have a flexible system. So that's what we're driving towards all the time. And I think this is a real key element to the future of our state and our country. So the other good news is, if you operate a CNC machine or something like that that's involved in advanced manufacturing or 3D printing, the great news is, first of all, our productivity as Americans has gone up, which means that we are now beginning to attract jobs from the Far East, where the wage differential made such a difference that we were seeing offshoring. Now we're beginning to see onshoring because of, one, transportation costs, two, believe it or not, rising wages in Asia, and three, our ability to be more productive. And for the worker that is working at the CNC machine, or the worker that's working in 3D printing, because they need to have additional education, additional skills, their payroll goes up, their wages go up. It's like a win, it's fantastic. And by the way, I noticed the other day, I think we got a chart that we're putting out that shows that Scott's giving me the shut up sign, but I want them to understand the whole, these guys don't get to hear all these things we're doing. But the last thing that I would tell you is our wages are now rising fast enough that we're beginning to get on par with other states that we were trailing, and we'll get you those statistics sometime. So talk long. Is that good? You like all this stuff? You know I'm a Westervillian, so you see me here, beep your horn. All right, is that it? Thank you. Now what are we doing? Press? Yeah. We're going to let them all leave, or how do you want to do this? Okay, everybody go ahead and scoot, and I'm going to spend some time with the press, and then I'm getting out of here.